مشاهدي أخبار الآن، أهلا بكم في هذا اللقاء الخاص مع وزير الدفاع الإستوني هانوبافغور للحديث أكثر عن ما تقوم به إستونيا لناحية تعزيز إطارها الدفاعي فيما يخص الناحية العسكرية بالنظر لما يجري طبعا في أوكرانيا. سيد بافغور، بداية شكرا لكونك معنا اليوم على شاشة أخبار الآن في هذا اللقاء الخاص، ولكن دعني أبدأ من سؤال المهم، وهو يعني آخر الأخبار أو آخر ما يتم تداوله في إستونيا أن الحكومة رفعت من ميزانية وزارة الدفاع. هل يمكن أن تضعنا في إطار هذه الميزانية من ماذا تتكون، ما تفاصيلها؟
Yes, that is true that we just approved the next year's budget, but not only the next year's, but we are always doing the 4 years budget, which means that since January, when our parliament decided that we will do at least 3% or we will get at least 3% of our GDP to defense, of course, the budget has increased also in reality, and actually it goes up to 3.2% even next year of our GDP, and basically in less than 4 years our defense budget has doubled. And this is the clear sign that the war in Ukraine also affects our decisions, and we have to do more in order to be ready to protect ourselves and also to be ready to host our allies, because it is always important to remember that Estonia is also a member of NATO, and which means that collective defense is still important. And one for all for one principle is still valid and will be valid for the future. But not only looking at the percentages, that means that we can buy a lot of new equipment for our military. Anyway, Estonia is investing the most in NATO countries, so our investment rate is approximately 52-53% of our defense budget. And in NATO by average is 27-28, so we are basically doing 2 times more in investments comparing to other NATO members.
في الأمس كان لنا حديث مع وزير الخارجية، وقد يعني أدلى بمواقف صريحة وواضحة. للناحية السياسية كان الموقف صريح فيما يخص روسيا والحرب في أوكرانيا. كوزير دفاع اليوم، ما الذي يمكن أن تقدم عليه روسيا فعليا تجعلكم لأن تتخذوا قرارا بالتحرك أو أن تقوم بشيء ما تجاه روسيا؟ أتحدث عسكريا.
First and foremost, as I said, although Estonia is in NATO, we have to protect and we have to guarantee the security for our people and nation. That means that even when we take the NATO charter, then everybody knows Article 5, which is that if there is a threat for one, then this is a threat for all of us. But there is also Article 3, and Article 3 says that first and foremost you have to do yourself everything you can in order to protect yourself. So this is the basic what we consider when we make these decisions. But of course, we cannot change the fact who is our neighbor. Russia has been, and will stay aggressive towards its neighbors. And that means that we have to invest more, and we have to be ready also as a society to invest more into defense as a border country, as a eastern flank country of NATO, and as a neighbor of Russia. So this is the reality.
سيد بافغور، لكن في حصول قيام روسيا بأي انتهاك، بأي اعتداء ربما لحدود الناتو، هل يمكن لإستونيا أن تتحرك مباشرة أم أن لا هذا الموضوع بحاجة إلى أن يناقش بين دول الاتحاد الأوروبي أو دول الناتو؟
No, every country has the solemn right to act when they need it or if they need it. So there is no doubt about that. So Article 5 is for that all the NATO members will concentrate on this risk. But when we talk about any other possibilities, first, your own reaction. Second, you have bilateral cooperation agreement with some countries. Thirdly, you have regional commitments. We have also, for instance, GEF countries, which is like-minded countries, and then we have NATO as an alliance, where we have more than 30 countries. So these other formats will still be valid also, and that means that we can count on different levels. But of course, as I said, first and foremost, we have to be ready to protect ourselves, and this is the solemn right of each country.
سيد بيفغور، يعني لاتفيا إستونيا وقعت مؤخرا اتفاقا مع ألمانيا للحصول على نظام صاروخي دفاعي متوسط. ما تفاصيل هذا النظام ولماذا قمتم بتوقيع أو بالحصول على هذا النظام الصاروخي؟
Well, we see what Russia is doing. So when we go back 20 years, so then we see that there was a conflict, even a war in Georgia. Even when we go even more back, then we can talk about Chechnya. Then we talk 2014 Crimea. And from Crimea, actually the Ukrainian war has been ongoing. And the escalation of the full-scale war 2022. On our Independence Day, on 24th of February. So, and I truly believe that all the NATO members, since Madrid summit, clearly understand that Russia was, is, and will be biggest threat for NATO as an alliance. And when we talk about NATO as an alliance, then we all understand that this is the core principle why Estonia also joined NATO, why NATO was established to keep the peace. So Russia is not looking at this way. Russia has never respected international law. Russia has never respected even the UN Charter. So this is why we have to be ready for any scenario, and this is why we are investing at the moment so much to defense.
تحدثنا عن أن وزارة الدفاع تقوم بالتحضير والتجهيز وأن إستونيا عليها أن تكون جاهزة، ولكن هل إستونيا قادرة فعليا ولديها القدرة على صد أي عدوان أو أي هجوم روسي محتمل أم لا؟
Of course we are ready to act. We were ready also 100 years ago when we had our independence war. And of course, Russia had also then more firepower and more men, but our courage and our determination was something which brought us to win against Russia during the independence war. We saw the same also in Finland. So this means that yes, the small nations are always ready, and the small nations have to, of course, push always more to be ready to protect ourselves. This is why we have the reserve army model as Finland. This is why we have territorial defense as it is, and this is why Estonia has the wartime structure of 44,000 men and women. When you put that to the percentages, this is even more than US has or any other country.
نعم سيد بيفغور، يعني أطلقت ألمانيا، إستونيا وبلجيكا وأوكرانيا تحالفا لتكنولوجيا المعلومات، والذي سيدعم قوات الدفاع الأوكرانية في الدفاع السيبراني. في البداية ما تفاصيل هذا التحالف وكيف يعمل؟
Yes, so when we take the Ukrainian war as it is ongoing at the moment, then we see different domains. We see air, we see land, we see sea, and this is the traditional way of thinking when we talk about the war. So we have land domain, we have air domain, we have sea domain. But for more than a decade, actually since 2007, when Russia conducted the first large-scale cyber attack against Estonia, which was like country or state orchestrated. Since that, we see that cyber domain is very, very important. And this is why we see also today that communications, cyber capabilities, defense, cyber defense and cyber offense capabilities are very, very important. So this is why we decided that also in close cooperation with Ukrainian armed forces and Ukrainian Ministry of Defense, that there is a need also for common push, common commitment to help Ukraine also in the cyber field. So this is why we created together with Luxembourg the IT coalition. And the main aim, of course, is to focus on communications, on secure data, and also on different means what they need on the battalion level first. So, but also the defense IT infrastructure is something what we try to help to build up in Ukrainian army. And of course, this IT coalition doesn't mean that we will take all the spectrum of IT what you can have. So we are concentrating on the military needs, and also in these military needs, we are even looking more closely to specific needs of Ukrainian army.
هل بدأ في العمل هذا التحالف أم لا يعني ما زلتم في طور التحضير له؟
We created that just a couple of weeks ago. Now what we have to do is that, yes, we can already start also executing or implementing this, because the first donation was made by Luxembourg, which is 10 million euros. And we are very happy that also NATO is together with us, because the procurements which need to be done will be done by NATO procurement agency. So there will be a supervisory body or the steering committee on that, where we, let's say, filter the needs of Ukraine and the possibilities of the member states. And then the NATO procurement agency will make these procurements. And of course, we also look into that what kind of experts we can bring in order to help Ukraine.
بطبيعة الحال وزارة الدفاع في إستونيا كما كل وزارات الدفاع في دول العالم لديها القدرة على الوصول إلى المعلومات من خلال نظام استخباراتي تملكه أي دولة كما ذكرنا. هل تمكنتم أو اكتشفتم أي محاولة من قبل روسيا لتقويض أمن إستونيا أم ماذا؟
We see that daily. So Russia is an aggressive country, and well, as I said, since 2007, when they started this large-scale attack on our IT systems, basically in the cyber field we see cyber attacks daily. The intensity of these attacks varies, which is understandable. But also in other fields, we hear constantly about possible attacks and also possible wishes of Russian intelligence servicemen to enter to different countries. So, and then the latest what we found out, what was also published, that Russia is using also the South American countries to infiltrate to Europe, and of course this is why we have counterintelligence. This is why we have our networks, how to get the best information about Russia's behavior.
نعم، وهل يمكن أن تعطينا مثالا على ذلك؟
Well, of course, these details will never be published, and if they are published, you can always read them. But we had to send out also Russian spies from Estonia. We had to say to many diplomats that they are persona non gratas because they were actually spies. So this is the everyday life what Russia is conducting towards all the European and all the Western countries. So this is their behavior. They don't stop it for sure.
هنا نتحدث مثلا عن الدعاية الروسية التي تصيب الكثير من الناس. هل وجدتم معايير أو إجراءات معينة لمواجهة تلك الدعاية الروسية؟
Well, this is. I hope that this is understandable for everyone that there is no free media in Russia, and Russia is always or has always been using media as a powerful tool to manipulate with their people, and we see that also from the public opinion, where most of the Russian people support Putin's war of aggression in Ukraine. So there is no news about that. The question is what we can do here in the West to stop it. First, what we can do is to give as much as we can through information. So I always say that, you know, when Russia is talking about narratives and talking in narratives, then we have to be talking about the truth, and we have to say the truth. So this is the difference, to talk the narratives, which you can always create, or you talk the truth. So this is first. Secondly, what we have done, we have stopped the Russian media broadcast here in Estonia. Of course, you can still access to Russian media when you have the satellite connections, but when we talk about cable connections, then the cable connections are forbidden for Russian propaganda. And obviously what we try to do, that we try to give to any Russian minority or other minorities adequate information what is going on. So this is what we can do, and now it's up to the people whether they want to hear the free media or they want to stay in the hemisphere or in the influence of this state media of Russia.
بما أننا نتحدث عن الدعاية الروسية، بالأمس كانت لنا زيارة إلى نارفا، هذه المدينة التي تعتبر ثالث أكبر مدينة ربما تكون في الحلف شمال الأطلسي أو في دول الاتحاد الأوروبي ناطقة باللغة الروسية، ووجدنا أن الكثير من الناس هناك يعني مصابون إذا صح القول بمفاعيل أو تداعيات الدعاية الروسية. كيف تنظر إلى ذلك؟
Well, this is the reality, because during the Soviet time, what Soviet Union did is that they deported also, when they deported our people, free people, to Siberia during the Second World War and after, then they did it also vice versa. So they deported from Soviet Union, that time Soviet Union, people to Estonia, which stayed here. And unfortunately, yes, many of them, especially the older people, are still influenced and affected by Russian state media. It is a long process. You cannot change it, you know, that you do this and then everything will be changed. No, we understand that. It's a long process, and this is why we are also investing a lot into that, to give the adequate information to the people. But when you ask from these people, do they want to live in Russia? The answer is no, because they understand clearly what are the advantages living here in Estonia. But unfortunately, yes, many of them are still affected heavily by Russian state media.
نعم، بما أننا نتحدث عن نارفا والحدود بين روسيا وإستونيا، أنتم تقومون اليوم ب يعني رفع نسبة المراقبة على تلك الحدود. هل تركيب كاميرات وغيرها، ما تفاصيل تلك هذا المشروع الذي تقومون به على الحدود مع روسيا؟
Well, just to come back shortly to the last question, I was born in Northeast, so I lived there 12 years, and I was raised there, so I know the neighborhood. And when we talk about now the Narva River and our border, then when I was Minister of Defense, Minister of Interior 10 years back, then we decided already that we will start building the borderline between Estonia and Russia. And we will do that just as not as a fence, but we will do that as a high quality surveilled borderline. So which means that it's not only a fence, it's also in the sensors, cameras, and then all the other possibilities what we can have, because you know, as they say, when you have a 2-meter fence, then you need a 2.5-meter ladder to go over it. So which means that, and then you can never have so many border guards who are walking or standing on the border to see that if somebody is approaching to the border. So this is why you need the this high-level border and very sophisticated border infrastructure. And this is why we are investing a lot, not only to river border, but also to the Lake Peipus border, because we have also long borderline on the lake, and also the green border. So this is the reality what we need to do in order to protect our country.
نعم. وهل تتمكنون من تغطية كل تلك الحدود التي تحدثت عنها؟
Yes.
بما أننا نتحدث عن نارفا والحدود، يعني كان هناك قرار من قبل الإستونيين، من قبل حكومتكم طبعا، بحظر أو بمنع مرور الآليات التي تحمل لوحات روسية. هل برأيك ذلك يعتبر كافيا أم لا ثمة خطوة يجب أن يتم اتخاذها أكثر أو أبعد من ذلك؟
Every sanction has its means, and there is a reason for that. And also banning the vehicles is a message. Russia is a terroristic state. This is said by many countries. Also, Estonian parliament has taken the decision, and we see why. When you are committing war crimes, when you are killing innocent people, when you are deporting kids and children to Russia, when you are raping women and children, then these are all war crimes. These are all wars, all crimes against humanity, and you have to You have to taken to accountability, or you have to be accountable for these crimes. And this is why also Estonia is pushing a lot to have the decision from the International Criminal Court. So it doesn't matter, is it only the number plates or the vehicles and the other sanctions. European Union is putting the next package of sanctions at the moment together, which is already 12th. So all these measures have to send a signal to Russia that this terroristic and barbaric war has to end as soon as possible, and they have to go out from Ukrainian sovereign territory.
سيد بيفغور، يعني يتم الحديث عن إجراءات معينة ضد روسيا، ومنها احتمال استخدام الأصول الروسية المجمدة. هل يمكن ذلك خلال الحرب أم ماذا؟
Well, we are looking for these options at the moment, and we are preparing the law for that. We just discussed that yesterday in our government. We all understand that when in one day the war will be over, then we actually today already talk about the reparations. But still the reparations are under consideration, and of course we don't know today how it ends and when it ends. But the reality is that, as I said, Russia has to be accountable, not only for the war crimes, but also for these losses what Ukrainians face on Ukrainian soil. So there are no villages, no cities anymore. When we talk about Irpin, when we talk about Bucha, when we talk about small villages of the battlefield at the moment, so there is nothing left. So just take Bakhmut. There is no city anymore. So tens of thousands of people, or even more, hundreds of thousands of people have lost their homes. So this is a huge tragedy what Russia is conducting at the moment in Ukraine. So this is why we have to look for all the options how Ukraine can be rebuilt, of course with the help of international community, and then it is our common responsibility to help them first to win the war, and secondly to rebuild Ukraine.
هل تعتبر أن المجتمع الدولي معطل؟ يعني نحن لا نرى أحدا في السجن حتى الآن، متى يحصل ذلك؟
All the messages what have been given out, not only from European countries, but also from the United States and other countries is clear. You have to stop this war. Go out from Ukraine. So this is not something you can do against your neighbor, that you will just go by force, take the territories, kill the people, kill the innocent people, rape the kids, etc. So my question is that or what we have to do more on the international level is the response from the international community, also from United Nations. But unfortunately, we see, as I said, on one question, that Russia is not respecting any international law. When they are respecting the international law, then they understand that they are violating it, and when they are saying that, or when they are understanding that they are violating the international law, then they understand also that they have to be responsible for that. And being responsible for that means that you will end your life in jail. So, and then of course Putin will never do that, to say that yes, I violated the international law. He will never do that. So this is why we have to end this war with the win of Ukraine.
سيد بيفغور، ربما سؤالي قبل الأخير، نحن نرى دائما المجازر تحصل، لنعود على سبيل المثال ما حصل في الغوطة في سوريا مع بشار الأسد والروس، كيف ارتكبوا تلك المجزرة، مجازر بوتشا وأوكرانيا، مجازر في مناطق مختلفة، لم يحصل أي شيء. يعني متى يمكن أن نرى إذن هذه الجرائم تتم المحاسبة عليها فعليا، ومتى يمكن أن نرى هؤلاء في السجن؟
This is a very good question. So, as you know, there is a decision made by International Criminal Court, and the member states of the ICC, they have to obey also to that. So when Putin travels somewhere, he basically needs to be arrested. So this is why we don't see Putin traveling to somewhere, maybe except North Korea. And you know, we also understand that there is no jurisdiction for other countries to conduct arrest in Russia. So this is the answer to you, that Russia is hiding, or Putin is hiding himself in Russia, and he will not go to the international scene where he might be arrested.
سؤال أخير، ماذا يمكن أن تقول لأخبار الآن كشيء حصري يمكن أن تخص به أخبار الآن؟
I believe we have covered many things, many topics, and still the most important thing what we have to acknowledge by international community is that all the countries who are standing for the free world, they have to stand together with Ukraine at the moment and to help Ukraine to win this war, and then jointly, commonly, we have to rebuild Ukraine, because this is what describes the future security architecture for the free world, because the message what the dictators will get from this war will be also multiplied for the future, and that this is why no dictator can get the message from Ukraine that or from this war that you can do against your free neighbor whatever you want. It's not possible. You have to be responsible for your acts.
سيد هانو بيفغور، وزير الدفاع في إستونيا، شكرا لهذا اللقاء الخاص. مشاهدي أخبار الآن، شكرا للمتابعة ودائما إلى اللقاء.